Alright, sorry about that, everybody. It took me just a brief moment to fix everything, and here we are. We are doing another tabletop review brought to you by yours truly, Tabletop Junkie, and we are going to be covering Vampire the Requiem today. Um, I'm so you know what? I think I might have a small picture I could put up here. Let's see here if I can get an image for you guys. I have a lot of images because I do a lot of like stuff to attract people's attention to my games. And I think this is it right here. Let's see if it how it shows up. And oh, there it is. Okay. Kind of ridiculously small. It's not the actual title page of the book, but it's actually part of the title. I find a lot of these clear prints right here, so I do like those. So, Vampire the Requiem. All right, so this is a supplement book. Actually, well, okay. So, to actually give you guys a bit of understanding, for those who caught my World of Darkness stream, last session is Tabletop Review number 105. This is Tabletop Review number 106. I've done 106 Tabletop Reviews so far, and I've been active for almost 2 years, which basically equals out to roughly about 2 a week. Well, I'm hoping to get some more done here, but anyway. Alright, so Vampire the Requiem isn't just like a supplement book or anything like that. It is another core book into the World of Darkness. It actually takes you into the world of vampires itself. The World of Darkness actually has its own storyline and made up context of how they view the vampires would operate inside of the World of Darkness. There is two things to concern yourself with. A couple terms. One term known as the Masquerade and another term known as the Camarilla, of which we are actually going to sit here and talk about here in a little bit. So this gives you actually an insight story into Vampire the Requiem. Currently, modern day, even probably sometime you could also place it in the time of the Dark Ages, when hunting vampires was more like Van Helsing style versus Blade style, where instead of without Blade, it's just a bunch of humans doing it. So unless you want to play a hunter, then I recommend Hunter the Vigil, which is another one. But we're going to talk about some terms here. So this actually gives you insight. It's very much same as the other book. It has a lot of information pertaining to the background story in lore about how vampires work, and it even has a frequently asked question about vampires actually at the beginning of the book, which is weird. But I guess it's just some things that they actually cover that is actually in world lore to the World of Darkness. Now, a couple things I wanted you guys to actually know a little bit about. Okay, so there is the Camarilla, which is actually behind the scenes vampire political faction as a whole. And then there's the Masquerade, which the Masquerade is... So there was Vampire the Masquerade, but the Masquerade is the efforts and system of laws required by the tradition of secrecy to hide the kindred existence from the mortal world. They actually call themselves the Kindred. The Camarilla is actually the leaders of all these factions, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see here. I'm actually trying to find Camarilla. It's not actually in the main book, but, perhaps that's something that can come up at a later time. But anyway, going forward, there's a lot of different things that comes into play here, such as covenants, bloodlines, there's even stuff including clans as well. So clans are one of the 5 families of kindred whose lineage links back to times beyond kindred memory. Bloodlines are a group of vampires that splits off from the parent clan to form a distinct lineage of their own. Some bloodlines do not differ from the parent clan in significant ways, while others claim different powers or weaknesses. And your vampires actually, and that's another thing that this book actually brings into existence, is the fact that vampires also have different powers for each one. The Requiem is the kindred condition, the whole miserable cursed of the song vampires on life, rather singularity or metaphorically. That's why they call it the Requiem. I actually probably never knew that. I just learned that right now myself. All right. So in this book, they do have the introduction, which actually tells you about what the book is supposed to be used for, and it is actually supposed to be used with the actual core book of the World of Darkness as well. You're supposed to use these two books together. So if you're going to play Vampire the Requiem, you would probably have to have the other core book as well to get some of the other stuff. This book does provide some extra stuff that the core book does not, but this book doesn't provide everything that's also in the core book. So both books actually played side by side is actually kind of mandatory. Within the first chapter, they talked about the Society of the Damned and vampire political structures, as well as behind the scenes of about how vampires actually operate and how to be turned into a vampire and what they actually have back there. For instance, one of the things that they actually go into with vampire is the each and every different types of clan. There is, it says one of the 5 families, but there's actually a couple different types of covenant. Well, not clans, covenants. Excuse me, covenants. I totally forgot this. So you have the Carthian movement. You have the covenants such as Circle of the Crone, the Invictus, the Lancia Sanctum, the Ordo Dracul, the Unaligned, Belial's Brood, and then the Seven. So when making a character, you actually have to pick a clan for yourself. Clans would consist of, so you have the Covenant, which is basically where your vampire is from, but they can each also have different clan people under them as well. So it's kind of like you got Covenant structure, and then under that you got the clans. And the clans consist of devas, which is basically your typical, love and beauty and grace. Kind of think of them as like Vampire Lestat from Queen of the Damned. You got the Gringo, which is basically the Gringrel are basically they're warriors and tend to be savages and animalistic by nature. A lot of vampires look at this, a lot of other clans look at this as, they're similar to actual werewolves, but they're not. You got the Maquette, which these are basically, I'm not sure how to describe the Maquette. They hide in the shadows, but they don't look ugly or anything. They just don't really, they're just very secretive about everything that they do. And then you have the Nosferatu. Now, those are so imagine if you've seen the actual old classical series, Nosferatu, ugly vampires, that is basically what these ones are. They're not animalistic like the Gringrel, but they look kind of similar. And they're not, they're not like peaceful either like anything else. But they do have ugly appearances. And did somebody jump in on me?
Oh, sorry, you live.
Yeah, you just totally robbed the stream.
Like the stream, nerds. Like the stream. I will find you.
That was just Jake, everybody. He did not know I was streaming. I wish we could still put statuses in our stuff. Nosferatu, that's actually my favorite one. I don't like playing vampires that, look too human. I do like the animalistic vampires, or the ones my favorite vampire was the Uber Vamps from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And then you got the Ventru. The Ventrus. They're kind of like those people that, they have to win everything and it doesn't really matter. So, and each clan actually provides different, favorite attributes, powers, and weaknesses, depending on which one you choose to be a part of. And then, if you want, you don't have to, but you can choose a bloodline, which will add to the weaknesses and the powers as well, or remain the same. So, going down from there, that goes into making characters. Then you have special rules and systems, which is the 3rd chapter of this book. Going into a little bit of that, there's... Oh, no, Mr. Jake, I'm actually streaming. I'm actually streaming. There's special rules and conditions that they actually use for the system here, because there is things like blood addiction, vampires that feed off of other vampires, uses of discipline, and much more stuff than that. That actually goes on for quite a few pages, which we won't go too much into. And then you also have storytelling and antagonists, which I love that part. That's chapter 4. storytelling and antagonists, they actually give you some antagonists that are actually much into the vampire realm versus just anywhere. For instance, some of the antagonists that you could come up against are people like ghouls. Ghouls are basically humans that are been fed vampire blood but yet not been turned into a vampire. And then you actually have hellhounds and a few other things. There is a lot actually going on in here. I definitely recommend checking this out. I did love the New World of Darkness, which went from 2004 to 2012. I definitely recommend checking out Vampire the Requiem. You can definitely get it on Drive-Thru RPG, and it does come complete with some really good art. I did actually buy both the physical and digital copy, because I'm sorry, you just gotta have both physical and digital. And the artwork itself is actually pretty damn good. I'm actually gonna do a screen share here real quick, where we're gonna come into this. These kinds of books actually have to. The craziest thing is, I feel so bad trying to rate these books on a system that provides information, because with the storyteller system that White Wolf actually developed and now owned by Onyx Publishing, the thing about this particular book is simply this. It is, because of the type of system that it uses, it is never short on information. You can always find information, and if the information doesn't exist but does exist somewhere in the world and you find linkage to it, you could always just make something up. But as you guys can see, the artwork is just fantastic and very, very rich, and it gives it the vampire feel and look for it as well. So, like I said, I did buy the PDF as well as the physical copy of the book. So, Drive-Thru RPG, guys, I'd recommend going and check that out. Again, artwork, fantastic. Information definitely is there. It does provide the same way as the character sheet as well, with the dot system. Definitely, and then it even comes with its own dictionary, or we call it lexicon, which is terms that you should learn from the book and know how to use, because those are terms that will be used inside the game as well. So the dot system it uses the dot system. The only things that it adds to it is disciplines and vitae and blood potency. Health and willpower in humanity is still part of it, as well as equipment, and the same skills and attributes are still there. And instead of factions and chronicles and stuff, it has clans, covenant, and kotori, or as I like to say, bloodlines. Blood potency and vitae are basically how powerful your vampire is, and vitae is how much blood, how many blood points you have before you need to feed. All vampires start off with 1 point of blood potency, but they can start off at a random number of 1d10 in vitae. And to basically animate your character and to use your character in one session, you actually have to spend a point of vitae. Vitae can be used for many different things as well. I'm actually going to come up with the usage. I think it should tell me what the usage are in here. Let me see. Let me pull up the index again. Vitae 90. We're going to do 156 to 180. That goes under special rules. So properties of the blood, that's basically where you want to actually read through. Vitae retains its supernatural properties for a few minutes after it leaves the vampire's body and is exposed to the air, and then reverts to ordinary blood. A scientist who examines a sample of former vitae would find a mixture of blood from many sources, with some of the cells broken down. Some the banned sorcery practitioners know procedures to preserve the supernatural power of vitae outside the vampire's body. Vitae is vampire blood, basically. Blood that vampires also have to consume and to remain working. So, kind of like magic. Like I said, there's a whole lore in it. The book is roughly about 300 pages, maybe even less. Give or take. So, alright. Well, that's everything that I have at this time. I did say it's got good artwork. It's definitely got good information. Everything you need here. Definitely worth the money in the pickup if you go to drivethrurpg.com. I recommend checking it out for yourselves. This is actually a highly recommendable book. The book that I just showed off is actually Vampire the Requiem, first edition, part of the World of Darkness series of 2004 to 2012. So, very much old classic book there. So, on that, there's nothing else I have at this time. Thank you for all who joined in. I hope you please like and subscribe to the stream and to my channel. I will have more videos coming out in the near future, as well as more actual plays. So please stay tuned, and remember to work hard, play hard, game on, everybody. Have a great and wonderful week.